Yeah. Which way do I turn you? Back. I'm going to turn you back. Huh? Something is not right. Something is not right. Something is not right. I put that son of a bitch in backwards. Okay, so as promised, there they are, all 6 of them. I had to put this hose on because when I turn the crankshaft, the hydraulic oil pumps out onto there. Nothing really too exciting has gone wrong. Other than when I put that last one in, I put the connecting rod on backwards. So I had to pop it back out of there and reposition it. No big deal. It took about 5 minutes. I just got done twerking these the connecting rods. The number 2 cylinder here, there's no play in it any more than there is on the others. So I'm going to call that a successful bottom end. I got to put the mains in tomorrow. I haven't done those yet, but once I get the mains in, start cleaning up underneath there to get the oil pan back together, and we should be able to fire it up in a couple of days. But the weather is good. I'm having a heartburn. I haven't eaten too good today. The weather is good, so I'm probably just going to abandon doing any work on that thing for a couple of days, because I've got several hundred acres, probably 400 or 500 acres on the ground right now, and I need to continue to mow and start baling. So anyway, thanks for watching. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. Okay, so it's a new day. I guess I could do an overview of what I have done already. Let me get over to the right side. It's actually technically the left side of the tractor, but the right side for me to deal with it. Okay, each and every one of these pistons are in. Had some commenting about the pistons not sliding in and out, and that I should have lubricated them before I put them into the liners. Well, John Deere does this for you. This is already inserted into the liner, and what you do when you pull the liners out of their boxes is you slide the piston down to the bottom side of the liner just enough that you can take the connecting rod, so that you can put the connecting rod and wrist pin and connecting rod in. So it's already done, but it does say in the instructions, to use a, like a 30 weight motor oil like this. I used a 530 Valvoline motor oil, premium motor oil, and all I did was, as they were sitting here, right here, I had poured a little bit of that oil down into the sides of the liners, and I gave them a spin around in there so that it would lubricate the pistons and everything, and let that weep down around the rings so that it would lubricate them. Now, it worked just fine. They slide up and down pretty easily. Well, not really easily, but there is, easily what I would expect to be normal is what it does up and down. So, and I do read comments, guys, and, I do try to read them because there are some good commenters, a lot of really good commenters, and there's a lot of really stupid ones as well. But for the most part, the comments are pretty good. But I find the need to explain some of the negative ones, because when I was in school, I had teachers and I hated them all. But I know how they feel now, because I didn't hate all my teachers. I just hated the ones that didn't understand me. And as a teacher, I'm starting to hate the people that are watching some of this channel and not paying attention to what I'm doing. So the one comment that stuck out that I'm putting the engine together dry. How many times do you want to rebuild it? It's like, I'm not putting it together dry. Matter of fact, I believe that this was the product that I said that I was using to put it in. The liners were not put in dry. They had a very thin coating of that assembly lubricant there, and it did say to use that 30 weight motor oil on the liners and the O-rings. So instead of me using the 30 weight motor oil, I opted to use the actual assembly lube grease, motor assembly grease, which I like. I like this a lot. It works really, really well. I've never had a dry start because of it, and I've never had a bearing spin when I've done this. Now, I've done several of these engines over the years. I mean, a lot of engines, and I never had one fail at startup. I never had it fail for thousands of hours. I did have the 4430, and some of the first videos that I did like 11 years ago, 10 years ago, I guess it would be 10 years ago, 11 years ago I started the channel, 10 years ago when I started uploading agricultural stuff. But if you go back that far, you'll see that the 4430 was an engine replacement or a swap. I put that yellow motor in there. Well, that engine that I took out was the first engine that I had overhauled, and when I overhauled it, in-frame overhaul, I sent the pistons out to have the wrist pins fit, and wouldn't you know it, a wrist pin is what actually failed on the engine. So what do? You know, that's what failed. It took the wrist pin, and the guy that fit the wrist pins only used one wrist pin to fit the bushings. But these new in-frame kits, they really don't need to be fit. There was no instructions on fitting them. There were no bushings that I had to put in. These pistons are already ready to rock and roll. So, and the clearances were, you know, I mean, they slid right together beautifully. So I was pretty happy with that. But anyway, I guess I'm done talking about, you know, the explanations of some of these people, you know, that are driving me slightly insane with their questions. And you know, of course, I have people tell me, stop reading the comments. You got to stop reading those comments. Don't let them bother you. Well, they don't bother me. They need to be addressed, because basically I'm a teacher, and you guys apparently are my student, and there are some people that really think that they know a lot more than they actually do. And watching my videos, it's pretty evident the ones that say that I don't know what I'm doing actually are probably the ones that don't know what they're doing, and they're watching me do this. Now, I make mistakes, trust me, I do. I make plenty of mistakes. I even admitted to the mistake of putting that connecting rod on that piston wrong. I put it to the front and the damn thing was on the wrong side. So, but everything else is good. Everything else is good. But anyways, Pop is coming in, and I have to drop the main bearings out from under this thing. So that's what I'm going to be doing right now. The main rod or the main bearings, or the block bearings or main bearings, I have to do that, and I have to pull those out, and I have to replace these. These are your thrust washers or thrust bearings, and what these do is they hang on the main bearing, the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 6th main, not the 7th, not the 5th, but the 6th. That's where that goes. So anyways.